series on climate change greenlit, or to build it into 9 parts with film quality, bravado, and substance, James Cameron, co-executive producer of Years of Living Dangerously, helped get it done. Joining me now, the Oscar-winning filmmaker James Cameron, also the co-executive producer of Years of Living Dangerously on Showtime. All right, James, you're having a conversation with someone in Hollywood in which you describe to them that you are executive producing a 9-part series on television about climate change, and they say, why? What do you say to them?
Well, I think that people in Hollywood are fairly well informed about the risk here, but so they get it. I think the question would really be how. How did you pull that off? How did you get a show about climate change on a major major cable show like this? It wasn't easy. It took a fair bit of star power, getting Arnold involved, Jerry Weintraub involved, and so on, to pull this thing together and get enough heat on it that people wanted to go ahead with it. Because the sense is, oh, well, that's not really entertainment. We said, no, we're going to make it entertaining. We're going to make this compelling television that you can't take your eyes off of.
How do you do that? I mean, I've done episodes for this. I've been sort of amazed at what has come together for this. But, you're someone who is as good at telling visual stories as just about anyone, I would say. How do you get from dry charts and graphs and data about carbon to what the sale point was, which is visually compelling human drama?
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks for doing the show. We really appreciate that, so thanks for jumping in. And secondly, I think the answer to your question is embedded in the question, which is you don't do charts and graphs. As much as people do need to go look at the science or some version of the science that's been processed so that a lay audience can understand it, that's not what we wanted to do. Because the important thing is to get people talking about it and thinking about it. So we thought, we're going to tell human stories. We're going to go into the trenches. We're going to take our celebrity investigators, such as yourself and Arnold Schwarzenegger, Matt Damon, to get them out in the trenches, out in the mud, out amongst people that are being affected every day right now, and make this thing immediate. Make it the kind of television where you start getting involved in people's lives. And I don't mean the lives of the celebrities, because they're the investigative reporters, if you will, but the lives of the people that they're going in and seeing. People in Plainview, Texas, who are out of a job because the drought collapsed the cattle industry and their meatpacking plant closed. Things like that are immediate.
Yeah.
We wanted to say climate change is not only real, it's not a debate anymore, but it's happening and it's affecting people right now.
It's that second point I think that's key, which is the transformation I think we've seen over the last 3 years, I would put it, from a problem we will have to encounter in the future, a problem that was talked about things that our children or grandchildren will have to deal with, to something that we are living through right now, the front edge of it. And the series does an amazing job of showing right now, it's not some future thing. This is it. 2014, it is here now. You can go to these places and see it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on, and we need to embrace that, and we need to step up, and we have to be accountable. Every human being on the planet has to be accountable to some extent or another, and we're going to have to work together to solve this problem. And it's getting that message out to people. I thought television is the way to do it. It reaches more people. Documentary films are great, but you can win an Academy Award for a documentary film, and still only a narrow sector sees it. And essentially you're preaching to the choir. We wanted to preach to the people that are in doubt, the people that have questions, maybe even people that are in total denial but want to see what the arguments are, and that's what these are the people that this show is for.
Do you think that? Do you have faith? I mean, there's all this evidence about the way that people process conflicting information, about confirmation bias, about the fact if you give people information, they double down on their priors, even if the information pushes against it. Do you have faith that something like this can change people's minds?
Well, denial ain't just a river in Egypt, baby. And people live deep in it every day. We all live in our little bubbles of illusion. But eventually, if the truth, beats on the outside of that bubble enough, people wake up. You just got to give people credit, for understanding that there is a problem, and that we finally are going to have to, however grudgingly, do what's necessary. And I understand that you just had your second child. I've got 5 kids, and it's a father's duty to understand the threats that are coming at the family in the future, whether it's not having enough money or not having good schools or medical problems, whatever it is. It's our job to take care of business. And I think, I hope that this show will reach fathers, will reach mothers, and say, guys, we got to do what we're here to do. Screenwriter did Terminator, Titanic. It's like, what are all the bad things that can happen? So naturally, I was interested in climate change before a lot of people were. But I'm also pretty rigorous when it comes to the science. And so, I've got my monthly subscription to Scientific American. I read about as much as a layperson should and still be healthy about science that I'm not getting paid for, to do. So I just have been really aware that this is a growing problem, and it's one that's quite insidious, because the solution to it is for people to work together at an international scale that we've never done before. We've never, as a species, demonstrated the ability to do that, and we're going to have to create new tricks that this bunch of monkeys has never done before.
Yeah, it is a civilizational challenge that I think is pretty unprecedented when you talk about the degree of collective international cooperation and governance ultimately that we're going to have to produce. And as a science fiction auteur, as someone who's sort of given us visions of the future, often fairly dystopic, I wonder if you think we have it in us. I mean, in some ways, a lot of your work has been relatively dystopic about the future. Do you think we have it in us?
Yeah. Look, I mean, as a filmmaker, it's my job and my pleasure and my art to celebrate the human condition in all our greatness, all of our capacity for compassion, and all the things that make us noble. So I weigh that on the one side against looking at the political process and how bought and paid for it is by special interests and all that, and how there's been this enormous amount of kind of inertia, nothing really happening over on that side. And I think, all right, I'm going to put my money on people, and I'm going to put my money on a grassroots, bottom-up solution to this problem, because it's not going to come from our so-called leaders.